Hello. We have chosen to discuss our response to the question, is it ethical to use clones in experimental psychology in place of naturally born humans?
We begin with moral equality. Humans have conscience, emotion, and dignity. Genetic replicas would share these natural behaviours and should be considered as sentient individuals too. By arguing that it would be morally better to use clones in research that could possibly cause psychological distress, you would no longer be recognising them as the autonomous individuals that they are. This is akin to objectification, creating life for the sole purpose of conducting experiments, as if the life were a tool, which many people would say is unethical. Many old experiments, like Milgram's investigation into obedience, where participants were made to believe they were condoning people to electric shocks, caused prolonged mental distress, so this study would now be seen as unacceptable to carry out on humans. So why would causing harm to an alternate form of human be justifiable?
However, clones could be viewed by some as unique beings. Rather than being born through chance, they are created with intention for research, possibly distinguishing them from us. Though this does not necessarily reduce their worth, some may see this as a separation from us, where they exist to simply carry out only one purpose in society as opposed to humans and their lifetime contributions. Ethical guidelines could hypothetically be put in place to ensure that in research they are still being respectfully treated.
Another point is that whether a human is born naturally or artificially, it is still living and conscious, making them susceptible to harm, deception, and a lack of consent violates the British Psychological Society, known as the BPS's ethical guidelines. If they were to make acceptances for clones, this strips them of their dignity and isolates clone in society by treating them as fundamentally different. This could possibly prolong discrimination within society and lead to new ethical dilemmas regarding what human rights they would have.
Despite this, the BPS and the public may not need to raise great concern over volume of psychological harm done to clones. Due to clones having the same biological structure as each other, there's a lack of variability, meaning less clone participants would be required for studies. The results produced would be more reliable compared to if genetically different humans were to be used, because of the reduction of confounding variables.
These are unmeasured variables that alter the cause and effect relationship in the experiment.
This reduces the number of individuals susceptible to harm and the duration of it.
However, this is like saying the harm done is a mean to an end, as if causing pain is okay because it's done to people over less time.
Issues also arise with consent. If hypothetically a clone was created for experimentation, from the day it was born, researchers would be responsible for setting expectations in place for what its purpose will be whilst it's raised. If their perception of consent is corrupted by researchers over time, we can imply that meaningful consent cannot be given by clones, therefore raising yet another ethical concern.
Consent as an issue is not unique to clones, but would also apply to animals, children, and those with intellectual disabilities in experimental psychology, as they are unable to give fully informed consent. However, fully informed consent in psychological research can lead to reductions in the internal validity of the investigation, whether a clone or not. If the participants knew the true aim of an experiment, they may act in a different manner to help an experimenter receive the desired results.
A further point that we could argue is that if the practice of cloning was allowed for research purposes only, the UK government would have used their responsibility as a governing body to revoke the ban on human cloning. Over time, the creation of artificial life could possibly be normalised for other purposes, whether it be fighting a war or producing healthy organs for transplants. If clones grow to have more use in dangerous fields, this could lead to the devaluation of human life and great disruptions and dilemmas in society. Furthermore, this decision could be greatly controversial and possibly cause uproar. This would suggest that an ethical compromise of cloning would eventually lead to more extreme events such as social outbursts and negative opinions with the cloning, akin to a domino effect. Alternatively, a decrease in human participation in dangerous activities like war and organ donation could lead to much less families grieving over lost loved ones, which is a hardship many face sometimes unexpectedly.
If we were to use these clones purely for the purpose of research, boundaries would be set and the chain of events would not be so significant as to disrupt the value of human life.
We came to the conclusion that if clones are akin to humans in both conscience and rights, using them as research subjects because they're artificially produced cannot be justified.
Just because humans shouldn't be subject to harsh research doesn't mean in any way that we should create life to face these terrible conditions, whatever form of humanity they may be.
Thank you for listening to our discussion. Goodbye.